Alrighty, boys. You cannot control outside events. You can only control the way you react to outside events or perceive them. Let's get into the show today. Right after I get it shared out a little bit more. HUC, MAYC. Stay to the end of the show. I'll talk about the giveaway, of course. Somehow the ranking went down. It's still pretty high up there, though. What else do I gotta do? Share it over here. General. Bam. Done. Boom. Done. Live now. Boom. Done. Facebook. Bam. Oh, I think I reset all my cache on the browser yesterday. My phone's going off. Move it somewhere else. All right. There we go. Bam. I need to do like one of those auto tweet things or something whenever I go live. But then you can't really customize it. We're gonna bump down this bit rate. Bam. Done. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Son of a Tech in real life. Today, we have all of the fun topics per usual that I could find. There are no new miner releases, unfortunately, but the big topic today is Three Arrows. We talked about them yesterday, liquidating like over $30 million worth of ST ETH on the Lido platform. Now faces possible insolvency after unforeseen liquidations. As we talked about, the biggest issue there is, of course, the 80% of the liquidation pairings between Ethereum and ST ETH is on the wrong side, so they probably can't liquidate the rest of their 20 million, and it's proving to be true. As we stay up to date, we're really finding that this morning's show is helping me stay up to date with literally every single thing that's happening in crypto. And part of that is we're getting good at predicting these types of things. So I'm kind of excited about that, even though it's terrible news. We're going to be talking about crypto lender Celsius and how they're hiring a restructuring attorneys. We're going to be talking about their troubles a little bit more and how their troubles, along with the UST Luna trouble, collapse and all of that, may be good for cryptocurrency in the long run. We have announcements for the launch window for the Radeon RX 7000 series. And we have Intel's first ARC custom graphics card pictured. We have basically some more information on Intel. Two different kind of leaks over Intel GPUs, so maybe they are coming closer. And a huge disappointing announcement from Edge Card, which was kind of that privacy load up card for cryptocurrency that I was really looking forward to. It looks like they have paused signups. We'll get into that as well. But before we get into it today, of course, we're going to run the ad. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, enjoy the ad, and we'll get right into the show after this. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Welcome back, everybody. Let's get into it. I got my coffee here. Some iced coffee with no ice left in it in a mason jar, because that's the way we live around here. Always late on getting the coffee, so it always turns into iced coffee. And mason jars are plentiful and don't cost much money if you're already buying preserves in them. There you go. Let's get into this one. So during Consensus 2022, there was an announcement of a cryptocurrency debit card that you could load up with cryptocurrency and make purchases anonymously, essentially, in USD. So this was obviously I was super bullish on this because it was right along the lines of what I expect cryptocurrency to be able to enable you to do. It would be super convenient in the case of basically going out and making purchases at places like, you know, little coffee shops or whatever it may be, where they use those new Square Cash apps and stuff, and they always try to get your phone number and send you text messages and whatnot, and then somehow your debit card's tied to the entire ecosystem, and every time you make a purchase, it's recorded and you sign up for some stupid text message alerts that you don't want anymore. And I was like, this would be amazing. So that was my reasoning behind it. Nothing nefarious or anything like that, but they have an official announcement. It was called the Edge card. And let me get this pulled up right now. Looks like it did not stick. Boom, bam. All right, so here's the official announcement on the status of the Edge card. It says, first and foremost, we want to say thank you for the excitement that we have seen from the community with respect to our card launch yesterday. That was on June 8th, as well as the numerous outlets that have helped raise awareness of our announcement. We sincerely apologize to any users that have been negatively impacted by the unanticipated challenges we have encountered while launching this product. We hope to provide some clarity around the situation. With our announcement receiving a lot of attention across the community yesterday, users will notice that messaging on our website regarding the card has been temporarily removed, and the use of the card inside our app has been temporarily disabled. Son of a gun. As noted in our announcement, this program is in full compliance with the rules and regulations set forth by regulatory bodies and our card issuer's templated card program. With this said, at this time, we have been asked to take down our content and put on hold the availability of the card program while we work diligently with our card program manager and card issuer to resolve these unanticipated challenges as quickly as we can. Rest assured that nobody's funds are at risk. Any user who would like refunds for their topped up cards may contact us at support@edge.app. We can assure you that all parties involved are putting 100% of their efforts into resolving this successfully as quickly as possible, and we appreciate your patience as we work to do so. To receive updates on the status of the Edge card, please enter your email below. So, link down in the description if you want to get status updates. I will be trying to get status updates, of course, because this is disappointing. What could have happened here? It's hard to say, but it does seem like because they announced like it being within compliance of regulatory bodies and rules and regulations, etc. To me, it sounds like regulatory bodies came in and were like, no, you can't do this. You got to get some KYC going here so that we can tell who's loading up these cards with what Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. And I think, unfortunately, the world we live in, stuff like this is going to happen more and more often. The ability to enable sovereign individuality, basically allowing individuals to participate within financial markets without the interference of governments, etc., is going to be a hard fought case. And we have to stand for it, because I do think at this point we are getting closer and closer to the fact that we have a crossroads here, and we can pick to go one of two ways. One is the way forward that would include things like central bank digital currencies, which would put more of the control into the hands of nation states, specifically like the federal government here in the US, or the Fed specifically, and remove even more checks and balances like the banking system. And the other path is that the users say no, like I talk about the 7 billion people on this planet. The common man says, no, we prefer to utilize something that empowers the individual like Bitcoin directly and bypass you all. The thing is that while they can't control everybody, that sort of thing, like we've talked about before, there will be examples that will be made. Products like this will be scrutinized, and it will be extremely difficult to move forward down the proper path. The proper path is never really the easy path to take. And I do get concerned that from the perspective of just cryptocurrency as a whole and the common person, they're so inundated with just trying to survive right now with the prices of gas hiking and food and all of that. It's really hard to focus down on what's actually happening. So I want to make it clear when we talk about these things that this is kind of what is cranking in the background. These are the gears that are turning. This is the path forward that we get to choose. And the people do get to choose it. And I do trust that people in general do want to go the proper direction. The question is, how much complacency will there be surrounding it, especially when it is being attacked during a bear market? It's pretty common though. Once again, it's cyclical. We see this every 4 years at the halving of Bitcoin. And it's just one of those things that we're going to have to get used to and learn how to navigate and keep the dream alive, really, at this point. And there's so many ways in my life where it is about trying to keep the dream alive, even so much as the YouTube channel here, right? Because we are focused on a topic that is waning in popularity. And that does tell me that people are losing interest. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that's due to the idea in, obviously, we have 80% of our viewers in the US. And the problem there is that the US population considers cryptocurrency as a get rich quick type product. And that is really the wrong way to look at it. We should be looking at it as the individuals in oppressed countries look at it. You need to read up on how it's helped Ukraine, how it's helped individuals in Venezuela, that sort of thing, and realize that even though you are in a privileged geographic location, that the purpose of cryptocurrency isn't just to get rich. It's to enable individual sovereignty, especially as it pertains to, of course, finances. Let's get into some GPU news, though. Intel's high-end Arc A770 custom graphics card with triple fan cooling teased by Gunir. We're finally getting some more information on these. It was kind of looking like it may not actually get released, but we are starting to get board partners that are releasing at least some pictures surrounding it. And that can be extremely exciting, especially on the A770 front, where we get a big bus. And as you guys know, I like big buses, and I cannot lie. In addition to its custom Arc A380 graphics card reveal, Gunir has also teased its next generation Intel Arc A770 custom graphics card, which features a triple fan cooler. The Arc Alchemist lineup will include the flagship A770, which will feature the full Arc ACM G10 GPU with 32 Xe cores and a 256-bit bus interface. The previous rumor did state that the A770 will come with lower memory, and it looks like it was essentially an entirely different SKU, as it will feature both 16GB and 8GB flavors. The core specifications will remain the same. Moving on, we have a mid-tier Intel Arc A750 and A580. These cards are likely to compete with NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 series lineup and are expected to feature 24 Xe cores and 16 Xe cores respectively. The A750 is expected to feature 8 gigabytes of memory, 256-bit, that's sounding awesome, but it could also be equipped with 12 gigabytes of memory at 192-bit, not quite as awesome. I hope the A750 comes with a 256-bit bus, personally, if it plans to go ahead against the 3060 series. The Arc A580 is expected to feature 8 gigabytes of memory. I would assume that gets a cut-down bus, of course. The design teased by Gunir definitely is a flagship variant, which is also confirmed by the vendor over at its official webpage. The card itself looks like a 2.5 slot design with a massive heatsink that's cooled by a triple fan cooling solution. Currently, the flagship Intel Arc Limited Edition graphics card, which is also an Intel reference design, rocks a dual slot and dual fan cooler. Based on the size of the card, it looks like it will require at least dual 8-pin connectors to boot, while display outputs will include the standard triple display port and single HDMI ports. You can expect all the modern features from the card, such as support for Intel's XeSS, DirectX 12 Ultimate, Adaptive Sync, etc. The high-end Arc graphics card lineup is expected to launch later this summer, so stay tuned for more information. A summer release would be pretty awesome, and as we stated here, the 780, I wish it would be a 356-bit or 384-bit bus instead of 256-bit bus, but that's okay. If the A750 gets the rumor of the 256-bit bus, this could be pretty impactful for mining performance on memory-intensive algorithms such as ET hash and ETC hash and Ergo and pretty much everything else at the end of the day. And that's the one I'd be looking forward to, especially if it comes in at a competitive price range, you know, below or at or around $300 US. That's what we would be really looking for. So the Intel GPUs are coming, and manufacturing is looking like it is being completed, so that's really good. And we have more too. So they also did the A380, and they're talking about that hitting $150 US. I'm not going to read this entire article. It looks pretty clean. I like the design on it. And if we scroll down for the A380, A380, that's only going to be a 96-bit bus. I don't think that at $150, that's really going to cut it. My performance kind of assumptions on this card in particular would be around the GTX 1063 gig range. You can probably start picking up those used on the market for under $100, which would probably be a better bet than picking up the 380. Unless, of course, you're focused on gaming, and then the 380 probably has some new features, etc., that you'd want to pick it up for. But for cryptocurrency mining as a whole, that's kind of where I sit. It does have an 8-pin PCIe Express power adapter, it looks like here. So not too dissimilar. Maybe a little bit more power on the core side than like a 1063 3 gig, that sort of thing, or 1066 gig even, something like that. You do get more memory, right? Because you're supposed to get the 6 gig variant. But as far as the bus width, not looking too fantastic as far as all that goes. So Intel looks like they're coming out with some, and hopefully, we get to start purchasing them and testing them and seeing what they do for cryptocurrency mining. It is really hot in here today. I do not know why. The AC is just struggling since yesterday. Hopefully it gets better. Whew. It's rough, but AC is definitely struggling now with, of course, everything that's going on in the heat in Texas. Celsius troubles, UST collapse, and the UST collapse may help crypto long-term, FS Insight says. So as you guys know, we had the UST collapse. We've had Celsius basically pause their withdrawals, swapping, etc. We've been talking about it all week. It's not helping crypto out. We kind of have an idea of why this is happening. Short story, we have a bunch of staked Ethereum that is being represented kind of falsely by wrapped tokens. and being sold out to the general public. And then the general public is ditching, or even large financial institutions too, like Three Arrows that we're going to talk about here in a second, the whales. And the whales are dumping the wrapped version of staked Ethereum, and it's causing a depegging. The depegging hasn't resolved itself. If you want more details, of course, we talked about this in detail yesterday in the morning show. So definitely go wrap back around and check that out. But this isn't looking great, right? But we do have some positive stuff coming out of it, possibly. The firm sees good buying opportunity now for Bitcoin. The combination of macro headwinds and over-leveraged yield strategies has resulted in the forced selling of cryptocurrencies in the last few days, wiping out more than $200 billion in value from digital asset markets. FS Insight says in a report on Tuesday. The takedown of Terra UST and Celsius is long-term constructive for the industry, Sean Farrell, head of digital asset strategy at FS Insight, wrote in a report. Last month, Terraform Labs, two tokens, Terra USD and Luna, collapsed, and last week, crypto lender Celsius Network paused all withdrawals, swaps, and transfers because of the extreme market conditions. Such public displays of ignorant capital destruction are often overlooked in the traditional finance industry or take a very long time to unwind. This is another important part that I wanted to bring up. With the transformation to the digital age, specifically as it pertains to finance, which is what we are dealing with when we speak about cryptocurrency, everything is going to begin to happen much quicker. These transformations, things that are changing, the cyclical nature of finance begins to be accelerated, as opposed to waiting decades for basically anything to be realized within the market as it pertains to finance. With cryptocurrency, we're talking about cutting that time in half or even more, really somewhere between like down by a fifth, right? We're talking about huge sways and changes and reactions in the market that happen within 2 years instead of 10 years, that type of thing. And I think that's important to bring up. The note said, although it noted that crypto markets have the benefit of iterating and improving at a more rapid pace, hence what I was just describing. In regard to Celsius, if yield generation strategies are too good to be true, that is because they probably are, FS Insight said, adding that crypto lender was notorious for promoting risk-free yields on client assets that required huge amounts of leverage coupled with risky and illiquid staking mechanisms. Hence, of course, your stakes, the liquidity between ST, ETH, and Ethereum, as we've seen it now, where we have 80% of the liquidity in ST, ETH. It's very obvious that these types of things are risky. We've talked about them before. I think like early on in this bull cycle, some of there were examples of, different companies going around and talking to even cryptocurrency miners like myself and getting sponsorships to get you to deposit your mined ETH into them to earn an additional percentage or yield on them. The problem is that when you lock them up with them, like BlockFi, for example, you ended up in a position where you were no longer decentralized. And even back then, I kind of said, hey, you're not going to get as much adding liquidity on something like Uniswap, but at least you control those keys. And I stuck to those guns, and I'm glad that I did, because obviously this is where we end up now. I did do one advertisement spot with BlockFi, and then we kind of talked about it a little bit more and decided not to move forward. And a lot of that was because when I looked at it on the base principles that I have surrounding cryptocurrency, I said this wasn't a good idea. And that does go back to kind of like one of these, it's a very simple quote that I just want to remind you guys, and hopefully you remember it in a bull run, but like, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And if you are based in the actual development of Bitcoin itself, if you are focused on the purpose of it from the get-go, you're going to be a lot less likely to fall for things like this that put you in a poor position in a bear market. The difference between assets that are owned and that are held in custody becomes evident only during times of market distress, the report said. And many Celsius users who thought they owned their assets found themselves unable to withdraw this period of increased market volatility, FS Insight added. In a tight environment, leverage becomes a dangerous double-edged sword that can strike when you least expect it, the note read. FS Insight says it is still constructive on crypto prices in the second half of the year, and this is the time for medium to long-term investors to consider allocating Bitcoin more aggressively. And so, like we've talked about before, and obviously they're just confirming all of this, the opportunity is now, right? You have the most opportunity right now. The problem is just purchasing Bitcoin in a time like this can be extremely difficult, especially for the middle to lower class, or at this point, just put us all in the bucket of lower class because prices are accelerating so high that it's going to be extremely difficult for us to even, middle class to even pay and cover bills. Even in first world countries like the US, just to be completely frank. Once again, I want to just remind you guys that the importance of basing yourself within the principles of cryptocurrency as it pertains to transacting between individuals without the interference of government, to be able to transact freely, to be able to control your keys, which is a huge part of that, to avoid centralization as much as possible wherever you see it and shoot it down is going to be the most constructive thing you can do. And that is really where we stand. Crypto lender Celsius hires restructuring attorneys, Wall Street Journal reports. I'm going to get a sip of water here out of another. Yeah, that's good. Let's get into this. Celsius announced early Monday it would pause withdrawals along with its swap and transfer products, citing extreme market conditions. Crypto lending firm Celsius has hired lawyers specializing in business restructuring to help it navigate its thorny financial situation, the Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday, citing people familiar with the matter. Lawyers from the Philadelphia-based Akin, Gump, Strauss, Hauer, and Feld LLP are working with Celsius, which at its peak held over $10 billion in client assets, the report said. Celsius took the dramatic step of freezing account withdrawals Monday amid the broader crypto market downturn. The company did not immediately respond to requests for comment. And obviously they are in a pickle because they have basically at this point lost a bunch of money. They can't allow users to get their money out, and there will be obviously a lot of different, probably class action lawsuits to go here. Regulations are going to be put into place. This is going to be used as FUD from the Fed to push you into central bank digital currency. But what's the real story? They want to blame cryptocurrency. But what is the real story? The real story is that you never had control of these assets in the first place. If you remained in control of these assets, this would not have been as much of a problem. Of course, we still do have decentralized versions of this that are experiencing issues, and that is due to liquidity, specifically between ST, ETH, and Ethereum. Let's get into that because we have three arrows here who faces possible insolvency after unforeseen liquidations. But what happens here that's different that happens with Celsius? The big key difference here is that Celsius is facing problems because they were taking users' money and doing all of this. Three Arrows faces this problem because they did not pay attention to the market and what was happening with the technology behind what they were participating in. Specifically, when we get into this, what we're talking about is the pairing of ST ETH with staked ETH and the fact that this ETH that is being represented as staked Ethereum doesn't actually have anything backing it because there are no withdrawals enabled on the beacon chain yet, and there will not be post-merge either, at least for some given amount of time that we're unaware of. If they keep delaying the merge, then my assumption is they keep delaying this staked ETH problem. So that is where this is coming from, and that can be done on a decentralized platform like, of course, Uniswap or whatever it may be. because you end up in a position where the market doesn't actually have it. It's a little bit better represented though, right? You can see it better on the chain. On-chain analytics are there. The investment firm has been one of the most vocal crypto market participants in the past few years. Dubai-based crypto fund Three Arrows Capital is facing possible insolvency after incurring at least $400 million in liquidations, the block reported on Wednesday. Three Arrows, popularly known as 3AC, was liquidated by crypto lending firms and is currently in the process of repaying lenders and other counterparties, according to the report. The firm's founders, Su Zhu and Kyle Davies, were two of the most vocal participants in the crypto markets in the past few years, making bets on non-fungible tokens and decentralized finance applications, layer 1 blockchain tokens, and cryptocurrency companies. Zhu seemed to address rumors on Twitter this morning, saying, quote, "We are in the process of communicating with relevant parties and fully committed to working this out," end quote, he said, without giving specifics. Tokens listed as investments on 3AC site include Ethereum and Solana and Luna. Prices of these are down 77%, 90%, and 99.7% respectively since lifetime highs as per CoinGecko data. 3AC's troubles come amid reports that crypto lender Celsius may be insolvent. The firm managed billions of dollars of user funds and may not possess enough capital to pay out investors. One of these strategies Celsius used involved the usage of staked Ethereum, a derivative tied to the Ether that lost its peg and could have caused contagion risks, as reported. Meanwhile, on-chain data suggests 3AC is selling its existing crypto positions to lower collateral requirements for certain positions. One of 3AC's wallets has a debt totaling $183 million, blockchain data shows. 3AC did not respond to requests for comments on the time of writing. And this is currently happening right now. Thanks for the $5 super chat. I'll try to copy that question out. Right here, Ethereum 1124.21, Lido 1053.30. We still have a depegging right now as we speak for Ethereum and staked Ethereum. And this is going to put these guys in a very, very rough position. And it only gets worse from here, right? Because once you start depegging, you depeg more. You can see here that the staked Ethereum is also down 3% to Bitcoin. So the other thing, though, that I wanted to mention is wrapped Bitcoin is sort of recovered. So this is good news. Bitcoin at 21,376 and wrapped Bitcoin at 21,289. I guess it is still depegged. It had kind of recovered its peg right before the show. Unfortunately, it's already depegged once again. It's not as bad as the staked Ethereum, but this does, obviously, it's the DeFi contagion. The staked Ethereum problem ends up translating across all of DeFi. This is something we need to pay attention to, and it's very, very, very risky. I want to make sure that we cover it, and we're going to be tracking it on this channel every day because we need to track it and make sure it doesn't get too bad, right? So, today's show is a little bit shorter as far as news topics, which is great because yesterday we didn't get any time for questions and answers. Let's go ahead and cover profitability on Ethereum mining, which has dropped. We are still sitting around 3.5 gigahash a second on Ethereum. That is giving us 0.048 ETH a day and 81 ZIL a day, which is only totaling out to $56 a day. The farm is definitely not paying for itself. We do have some mining going on Ergo. If you guys want a guide on this, let me know. What we have done is set up their Neta payments, which gives you an additional 20% in Neta, or 22%, keeping in mind that it is DeFi, but it's DeFi separated from Ethereum because it's on Ergo. That doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. It just means that this is a new way to mine, and I think that it's really interesting. It uses basically get block smart pools to convert any of your payments out from Ergo into Neta. And that does mean they need to fix this over here because this is 6,092, not Ergo, but actually like Neta, I believe. And I'll talk to GetBlock about this. Maybe they're even watching. That needs to get fixed as far as their weekly, monthly, and all time, that sort of thing. But we are getting pretty good payouts here. You get an additional 22% of your mining rewards in Neta. You can utilize the Nautilus wallet along with Ergo Dex to basically get this out. So if we go to like ergodex.io, for example, we'll launch the app here. I'll show you guys if we can get into it. Understand the risks, that sort of thing. Oh, Cardano testnet. We're playing with that the other day. Let's get into Ergo and let the wallet connect. Let's see if I need to connect the Nautilus wallet there. We're trying to get it loaded up, but essentially you can come in here and then swap your Neta for Ergo, and then you can swap that out to whatever exchange you prefer to use, right? So if we went down to here, like we have 6,092 Neta, one of the things we can do to kind of get an idea is pair that with SIG USD, and then we can see essentially the price that we've made in the past 3 days would be, let's hit the max, would be $37, right? So there are no mining calculators right now that are going to give you this information, but we have essentially like 2 rigs on here. We're doing 3 gigahash a second, which would be the equivalent of 1.5, I think 1.5 gigahash on Ethereum. I'm going to try to work out the numbers. So if you're interested specifically in this video, let me know. We'll do a guide on how to mine Neta essentially, and how to swap it, how to liquidate it. All that needs to come down the pipeline. My question is that really what we need to put the priority on in the current market or not? So I am going to create a poll guide on mining Erg Neta. We'll just do that and say yes or no. So if you're interested, let me know. Also, we will be talking about a possibility of some good CPU mining, but we'll be talking about that on the locals channel. I do got to get my CPU spun back up, but I am being notified of some possibilities there that could be extremely beneficial. So I want to make sure that we get there and get that up for you guys. But I think we're doing about 3,000 Neta a day, which would be about something like, what is that? Payments last 24 hours, 3,113. If we went to the Ergo Dex, now that we've solidified out, we'll go to desktop, 3,113. We are doing $20 a day. That's on about 93090s. And I think it's I think it's about 6 5700s. It might be 8. I'll double check that for you guys and let you know. But that's pretty good profits for 24 hours on 2 rigs for me. That's 2139. I will probably be trying to swap more over as far as that goes. These are looking good to me though. As far as all that goes, this is definitely looking good. So for the miners, there's something there that does look promising, at least right now, especially the home miners. If you're willing to put in the work for the transfers, the swaps, the moving of your rigs, there is hope there that is not on what to mine. But speaking of what to mine, let's go ahead and get into it and get these all adjusted, right? ZIL hash 110, Kapow 60, ProgPow 60, Thero 60. Calculate that out. We got Cero at $1.95 in revenue and $1.16 a day after power. Ethereum is more profitable on NiceHash right now. So we do know that Ethereum is going down in price because that means that NiceHash always lags a little bit behind in these circumstances. Usually when Ethereum is pumping and going up, NiceHash gets a little bit lower than traditional Ethereum. And then when it's in the opposite direction, NiceHash starts taking over. You'll start seeing a lot of hash rate start moving through NiceHash. as well. And that will be something that takes place. This does pose, of course, especially in a bear market, more risks to Ethereum Classic, or it used to, but Ethereum Classic has made the adjustments. So hopefully we do not see another attack on Ethereum Classic, but it's important noting that when this stuff starts happening and hash rate starts moving to nice hash, that is a possibility, as well as attacks on other proof of work networks that are smaller. So keep an eye on that. We could see, of course, in a bear market, we start seeing more attacks on other smaller networks, especially when they're putting a threat on the security to Ethereum, which we're going to talk about as well today, because we're going to be talking about the hash rate drop on Ethereum too. But Ravencoin, $1.65 a day in revenue and 86 cents a day after power. We're definitely under $1 a day on Ethereum though, which is nuts. Firo, $1.65 a day in revenue and 90 cents a day after power. And then we have Ergo down here, $1.53 a day in revenue and 91 cents a day in power. Remember, if you go through Neta and GetBlock, you can get an additional 22%, which in theory puts you over $1 a day, and it actually beats out Ethereum. In practice, does that happen? It looks like it is happening. It looks like we're actually making even more than that. We'll talk about that as we kind of get to that video. But Conflux, $1.49 a day in revenue and 70 cents a day after power. Xano, $1.40 a day in revenue, 60 cents a day after power. Nice hash through for ZIL hash for Flux is $1.46 a day in revenue and 76 cents a day after power. But if you mine it directly, it's $1.35 a day in revenue and 65 cents a day after power. It's getting rough out there, guys. Ryo, $1.29 a day in revenue and 66 cents a day after power. Ethereum Classic, $1.23 a day in revenue and 47 cents a day after power. I told you guys we would look at, of course, the hash rates on the network, and that's what we're going to do. We have more hash rate dropping off of Bitcoin, going down to 223 exahash a second. Yes, we're starting to see traditional behavior of miners in relation to the market. We were not seeing that for the longest time. We were seeing the Bitcoin hash rate continue to rise regardless of the price of Bitcoin. And now we're finally seeing everything actually happen exactly as we would expect it. I had been saying I wasn't sure with the traditional finance being, integrating itself into crypto, if we were going to see this traditional bear market and super cycle. And I think we're finally seeing it. So it does look like, to me, the principles that stand behind Bitcoin that influence the market as we are used to it are starting to take back over. You can't mess with it. This is actually kind of good news, because what we're seeing is there's a lot less likelihood of even that brute force of whales trying to manipulate this out of the market or into a deeper market, that we end up still sitting at what we would expect it to sit at. So it's kind of good news. I think that we're starting to see that. And I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions on that too. But Ethereum is down to 970 terahash a second. Miners are shutting off. We are down from yesterday, another 30 terahash, something like that. Some of it coming mostly off of F2 pool, it looks like. Some of it off of Poolin. These are going to be like larger firms and stuff. One of the things I wanted to mention too is you probably want to get your funds out of Poolin. I'm actually working on that as well, because Poolin was participating in some of this DeFi stuff where you could mine to Poolin, leave your cryptocurrency within Poolin, and they would pay you out a percentage for, of course, having that money within Poolin. Right now, you need to be extremely careful with that, because they will experience, of course, the DeFi contagion as well. So from the miner perspective, pulling your funds out of Poolin would probably be highly advised. Of course, this isn't financial advice. I'm not saying sell it, anything like that. I'm just saying use a different platform. This is technical advice, okay? This is basically just technical advice, to be clear. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm aware of how Poolin functions there, and it can be extremely dangerous. Thanks for the super sticker, Panzer. All right. Ethereum Classic. Are we seeing the hash rate move elsewhere? No. Ethereum Classic, definitely not. It's down to 24 terahash a second. What about Flux? Are we seeing people move to Flux? No, we're down to 1.37 mega solutions a second. It looks like to me we are seeing basically miners turn off right now. We do see a bump in Ergo hash rate up to 15.68 terahash a second. You can see the difficulty starting to rise as well. It's a much smoother line than it has been before, which is good. But if anything, some of the smaller miners do look like they are moving over to here. It's definitely not accounting for the major dumps in Ethereum hash rate though. Let's take a look at Firo, because I was interested after the news yesterday what's going on with Firo. We saw a huge spike in the hash rate on Firo. Remember, Firo is going to be redoing their monetary policy and taking 25% of the rewards from the miners, giving 15% of it to the master nodes and 10% of it to a community fee. Check out yesterday's show for details on that. And at this point, it's pretty funny because it looks like everybody's moving their hash rate and jumping on the network on two miners. So I guess that's kind of, if you want to piss miners off, this is what miners do apparently. So I don't know. Anyways, it's kind of funny. Let's take a look at Ravencoin. Did anything move to Ravencoin? No, not really. Cero. Did anything move to Super Zero? Yes, we've had a pump in Cero here recently, but nothing significant over the past day. So that's kind of where we're at. Mining pool profits, though, for the last 90 days, Ethermine in first, F2 pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. Last 60 days, Ethermine in first, F2 pool in second, Crazy Pool in third. Last 30 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Ethermine in third. Last 21 days, ZET in first, Ethermine in second, Nano Pool in third. For the last 14 days, Ethermine in first, ZET in second, Crazy Pool in third. For the last 7 days, Ethermine in first, Crazy Pool in second, ZET in third. For the last 3 days, Ethermine in first, ZET in second, Flex Pool in third. And for the last day, we have ZET in first, Ethermine in second, and Crux Pool in third. So that's pretty much what we're looking at as far as all of that is concerned. Let's pop into ASIC miner profitability. Then we'll get into questions and answers. ASIC miner profitability, KD6 at 1902, looking pretty rough. KD5 at 1194. These miners were running for like 60,000 US dollars during the bull cycle and are going to be really hard to recover on because you only have one coin to mine with. Hopefully, I feel bad for the people that have purchased a bunch of these. Hopefully you end up, being able to hold on to those till the next bull cycle, and Kadena remains all the way through the next bull run cycle, which is an important note. One of the disadvantages for ASICs, obviously, is that you end up getting tied to a specific currency. And when you have new currencies that were really getting a big pump during a specific bull run, the risk you run is that they are absolved during a bear market and are not around during the next bull run. So your investment on an ASIC miner becomes basically a large paperweight. Is why we like to focus on GPU mining, of course, because at least you have that hardware for the next bull run and more algorithms. The S19 Pro is down to $354 a day on Digibyte, almost $2.30 a day on Bitcoin. That's why we're seeing a huge shutoff. This is not going to be enough to really pay for the power costs. This is at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, right? So if we went up to like 15 cents a kilowatt hour, what are we really looking at? Well, I think at that point, where is it? S19 Pro becomes unprofitable at 15 cents a kilowatt hour. And those were $10,000, $11,000 machines during this bull run cycle. And that's on all the available algorithms, right? That's negative on Digibyte too. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough as it sits, It's the same on what to mine though. Like if we pump up to like 15 cents a kilowatt hour and calculate that out, what are we really looking at, right? We're looking at 55 cents a day on Ethereum. But I mean, the good news is you do have you're still making profit on things like Ergo, that sort of thing. What's the best bet as GPU miners? So you still can be profitable on basically GPU miners to a certain extent, even at 15 cents a kilowatt hour. It starts getting a lot tighter. I know a lot of other miner YouTube channels are already talking about like, what's the breaking point here? We will be talking about the breaking points as we get closer and closer, but you do have the option of liquidating your hardware if you really have to. In addition to that, you have the option to hold that hardware and just turn it off and wait for the next bull cycle. You have the option to accumulate. So your goals, obviously, like my goals, are to accumulate more hardware for mining and reduce my costs. And that is pretty much all we can do at this point, right? And that is how things are going to have to function and play out. So with the downturn in the cryptocurrency markets, some of the things you run into as a cryptocurrency YouTuber is that you run into obviously problems with sponsorships, etc. So that is obviously one of my big revenue streams is going to be YouTube and sponsorships. So I need to make up some of the sponsorships, that sort of thing. And I have set up something called Locals, and Locals is essentially like a Patreon, except we have a lot more feature rich things going on in here that you can take a look at. And I think it's going to pay off. I'm going to start trying to do a lot of giveaways over here. I have a lot of people that want to give away NFTs, and I don't see harm in just giving away the NFTs, but I want to make it clear that I'm not sponsored by the NFTs when we do these giveaways. We have an NFT giveaway right now that we're doing through Locals. And the thing is like Locals is giving me an option to, and I just confirmed it today, to actually receive the full support from you if you go over there. So YouTube takes a cut, right? Whatever cut that may be from the memberships. And that's usually around like a 60-40 split type thing, 50-50 on some things. If you go over to Locals, it's directly like my Stripe account tied to my business, my LLC or whatever for YouTube. I already confirmed that the people that have done the memberships, first of all, thank you for that. The ones that have paid, I've gotten a Stripe payout to, of course, the business bank account, and that's super awesome. So my goal is to try to make up for some sponsorships so I can continue to make content without like having to lean on sponsors during a bear market. Maybe this is a little too late. It was also something I debated for a while because I wasn't really sure. I feel like I'm always like coming out and like going for the ask too much, especially lately. And I realize that it's not what I want to do. I want to build everything up and provide as much value as possible. So I'm also trying to figure out how we're going to be doing more value on like Locals and stuff like that. But if you want to support the channel, this is technically right now the best way to do it. The link is pinned as well as it's in the comment section below. I need to also say thanks for the $100 super chat from Twisted Blockchain. Says he'll email you soon. Wasn't working because I didn't have an account. So that's cool. Thank you for that $100 super chat. So the goal here is to hit 800 members. That would be complete transparency. I'm getting 100% of that. That's $5 a person. There is a $25 option. I don't know what the additional perks that we're going to put to that are, but I will get that full $5. That would be $48,000 a year plus whatever ad revenue I get on YouTube. That is kind of the goal that I've set. Like always, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible with all of this. So this is actually an easier way to be transparent too. You guys will know exactly how much money I make, that sort of thing. It's harder to be transparent with sponsors because sponsors a lot of times will give you some sort of NDA when you speak about like how much they pay you and that sort of thing. So I do like that this allows for more transparency from that perspective, and being supported by the community is the ultimate goal, right? I think at the end of the day. So if you want to check it out, you can. Like I said, giveaways are going to be locked behind Locals. If you're already a member on YouTube, go to the community tab. There is a members only post on there with a coupon code for Locals that you can utilize and will gain you access. I will probably be doing some free month subscriptions, that sort of stuff with promo codes later in the future. We'll just see how it goes. We're still kind of testing out the platform, figuring out what we can do, what we cannot do. It's basically like a Twitter feed for just Son of a Tech, which means you can go there and post. You can get tips, which means you can earn income as well, which is a very unique thing about Locals in general. if you make a good post on my locals page and other members are like, yeah, that was super helpful. What, maybe you figured something out about a mining rig or whatever that somebody needed help with, people can tip you as well. And that's going to allow you to generate income to a certain extent too. So there is that additional aspect to locals that's really interesting. Now, the giveaway that we're doing over on locals right now, we did a video on it yesterday, is for the ETC MAYC number 26591. Its rarity rank is 1002. There is no price floor yet because the auction house has not been opened for this, but the price floor on the Bored Apes, I believe, is already 4 Ethereum Classic. If you wanted to convert that, I guess we could look at ETC. Not WTC, ETC, boom. That's 13 times or 14 times 3, basically. I don't know. About $40, right? So we're doing basically a $40 giveaway at this point. But you also get the access to the, you know, if you want to keep this and save it till the next bull cycle, if you think whatever it is, just let me know. We're giving it away. I want to do some more giveaways as well. That's kind of where we're at. I'm going to run the ad and then we're going to get into questions and answers right after it. And remember, super chats are never required, always appreciated. Super stickers have the biggest boost to the algorithm, and tagging @SonOfATech will highlight the message orange and allow me to read it more easily. So definitely do that. I'm going to run the ad, start getting your questions in now. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Alrighty, so the first question was, what GPU is good to buy in India? He has 230 rupees. Great show. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to be completely honest. I have no idea what's happening in the India market. So it's really hard for me to judge what GPUs would be good in that particular market. And I wish I could help you, but maybe there are some cryptocurrency guys that are in that area that could give me an idea. I don't even know what 230 rupees really translates to. To me, that sounds kind of low. Like, I would assume 230 rupees is lower than, you know, $230. I would wait for probably the Intel release. More than likely, as far as that goes. Marcus Wint says, as SonOfATech, my power cost is 19 cents a kilowatt hour. Had to switch off my rigs over the weekend. No more funds for power. Understandable. I think that is going to be pretty commonplace here for a little bit. And it's going to be insane. So, you know, we're all going to go through this. And I think like broader economy is going to be hurting as well. So let's just buckle up and ride this bumpy wave, right? Applicable Robot says, Ask SonOfATech, have you considered hosting other people's cards? I'm sitting at 11 cents a kilowatt hour and it looks like I'll get squeezed out here. I'm still waiting on my power upgrade, but once I do have the power upgrade, the plan is to try to figure out some sort of hosting option. Stay tuned for more on that. Applicable Robot says, also SonOfATech, have you checked the BIOS on your H110 Pro BTC Pro? If you're not going to use it, the pricing is still inflated. Yeah, I've checked it multiple times, right? So I've updated to the latest. Somebody said to try the beta. I've tried the beta for whatever reason, no matter what, that particular motherboard, and it's the only one. I have a ton of ASRock H110 Pro BTCs. It's the only one that when it reboots, it resets CSM to enabled, and I have no idea why. I've scoured the internet trying to figure it out. I've tried the many suggestions here. As far as selling it, I wouldn't sell it because it has that issue, right? I just don't think that would be good to do to somebody else. Simon H says, ask Tech GPU giveaway. GPUs are still the number one thing that keep that other business alive. I don't think I'll do GPU giveaways unless somebody gave me a GPU to give away, right? Dave Jack says, ask Tech, if you're going down a 7-mile road at 70 miles an hour, how many pancakes can you fit in the doghouse? 3,000. Ted Park says, ask Tech, is the amount on the super sticker a factor to the algorithm? Not to my knowledge, no. Daniel Ring says, ask Tech, did you get the link I sent on Rocket Chat about edge card removal? Yes, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, Daniel, and thanks for providing that on Rocket Chat. Hard for Crypto says, ask Tech, do you think Vald is at risk stopping withdrawals like Celsius? Yes. Anything that has been participating within staked Ethereum, specifically ST-ETH or any sort of staked Ethereum, I guess in general, that has been offering any ridiculous APYs is at risk. We're talking about all of them. Crypto.com, Coinbase, Vald, they're all at risk. Now, I don't know the back end, how much leverage they are into that, right? So it's hard to say at what point do they end up being illiquid or having these kind of issues. Felix says, at Son of a Tech, I don't get how pegged ETH can be moved and can drive price lower. Can you explain? Yeah, sure. It's very simple. So we've talked about this before. Imagine you buy a bunch of Ethereum and you put it in a safe and you lock the safe and you lose the code. And then you create a bunch of paper representations of Ethereum and you sell it to people telling them that it is worth the same as Ethereum. And then those people decide to start selling that Ethereum and you can't pull the Ethereum out because you lost the code to the locked safe. Then what happens is obviously the price of that crypto drops because it has nothing backing it, right? That's what happens. There are other ways to, manipulate that currency, drive it back up. It's not dissimilar from going off the gold standard for the United States. They basically moved into controlling world economy as well as obviously oil, making, Saudi Arabia purchase all oil with the US dollar, that sort of thing. There are other ways to manipulate it, right? But that is essentially how that happens. They can't get the ETH out, bro. LZ says, ask Tech, I had some privacy concerns about locals because they needed my credit card information for payment. So now they have my email and my credit card information. Are there any concerns? So locals is run by the same company that runs Rumble. As far as concerns there go, obviously the Edge card would have been perfect for your purchases over there. The email is for my personal, like I said, the email, I believe, does not go into the locals database. That just goes to my personal database. And we wanted to have the emails there like we talked about yesterday specifically so that if anything happens to YouTube, I have a way to reach out to you guys, contact you, and tell you where my content has moved to. And so that's kind of a hedge against that. So the email, hopefully, utilize the email that you prefer to be contacted on in the case that you need to find out where we've gone. Miko says, ask Tech, can you sue or something for not getting your power and paying as you did? I'm getting angry just by hearing about it. Can't imagine being in your shoes. I don't know what my options are at this time, but if it does get to that point, I will definitely cover it to the best of my ability and what I'm allowed to say or not say about it, right? So it's kind of where we're at. Xavier ETC says, ask Tech, have you tried to replace the motherboard battery? Yes, of course. Ted Park, 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, good sir. An applicable robot with a $2 super chat says, I'll send the BIOS I used to fix this on Twitter. All right, dude, I will give it a shot and see if it functions. Felix says, ask Tech, that locked ETH can't be moved, can't be sold. I don't find any correlation pumping offer over to demand to drive prices down. Well, so there's a difference between it can be sold, because that's what Three Arrows did, right? In the DeFi form, that Ethereum is being sold. We talked about it yesterday when Three Arrows sold 30 million of it. So it can be sold because it is on decentralized finance. And so on the back end, so for the central, okay, how do we, so for the centralized portions, like let's talk about Celsius, right? Celsius says the users can't pull it out, right? But what Celsius has been doing is they've been taking other people's cryptocurrency and then putting it into the liquidity, right? So people that are not doing it themselves, not going into whatever Lido, Aave, Uniswap or whatever, and staking that liquidity themselves. Lido is essentially just taking their money and doing that on the back end. There's other stuff that they're doing that's making it even worse, like leveraging, etc. That's why we see Three Arrows basically going illiquid at this point. Frederick says, Ask Tech, what do you think of Cero as it is right now, the most profitable coin? We talked about this before. I don't have a lot of confidence in Cero, but I also don't have enough research done on Cero to make a statement. I am not confident enough in my understanding of Cero to make a confident statement on whether or not it has a good future. By my math right now, though, I still think that Ergo with Neta is technically the most profitable, but I still have to test that all out. Grover Clark says, Ask Tech, there's big movements going on in staking world. Big names like BitBoy are saying that staking is nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. He says staking should be avoided. Wow. Really? BitBoy, the anti-proof of work guy, is coming out anti-staking now? Might need to have another conversation with him. That was not my experience when I guessed it on Around the Blockchain. So I'm surprised to hear that. That's really good news that we have larger names coming out and finally saying that. If he switched his position on that, huge respect to BitBoy, for sure. All right. I don't have confirmation on that, but thanks for letting me know. I'll research it. Pedro Santos says, Ask Tech, here at Portugal, we have a contract with an energy company that usually has an insurance clause that makes them pay for any damage caused by unregular power supply. That's nice. Keith says, Ask Tech, do you think we should view the staked ETH prices as an indicator where ETH is going? It's trading at like 10 to 12% discount. No, not necessarily. I would say that the staked ETH prices would be more of an indicator of where all of the rest of the wrapped versions of all the coins and all the tokens on Ethereum are headed. Meaning, like, I would expect before ETH to go down, I would expect like wrapped Bitcoin to go down to that 10 to 12%, right? Could wrapped ETH on Polygon become depegged? I'm not sure. I'd have to actually look at Polygon in general and see how that liquid status is, but it could affect, like I said, pretty much all DeFi. Polygon would technically have, like, you would have that pumped in from actual Ethereum, and then it would depend on what its pairings are and what the liquid state of it is, right? So how much of the pairing is combined with whatever else, right? Grover Clock says, Ask Tech, he is on now. He just got killed in Celsius. Makes sense. Apparently, Hard Fork Crypto, he said it today. You know, there was an article we talked about today that the headline I fully agree with. Celsius troubles and UST collapse may help crypto long term. What we are seeing is a return to the principles of crypto. And once again, this is what I said that's really extremely important. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And in crypto, that becomes extremely clear, especially when we hit a bear market. If you are not principled in your standing surrounding crypto and what you think it's supposed to be there for, you will fall for all of these types of things, right? And I think it's extremely important that we point that out and we adhere to that in the next bull run. Gandalf Gray says, at Tech just got my ledger, and after seeing how it works and knowing now that no crypto goes on the device but is held in the ledger live with you having the keys, doesn't this still run risks of loss? So you have basically three forms of holding your crypto, right? You have cold, you have warm, you have hot. Anything that has touched a computer with internet access at any point is at least warm. Hot would mean that you're connected to the internet all the time, right? So like your MetaMask, it's a browser plugin. It's connected to the internet 24/7. That's 100% hot wallet, right? So that's the least secure. Second least secure is anything that you've plugged into a device that's connected to the internet, right? So the ledger, that sort of thing, it's more secure than a fully hot wallet, but is not the most secure. The most secure would be, for example, on Bitcoin, getting some sort of paper wallet generator, moving that paper wallet generator, maybe even to like a USB drive, going to an offline device, generating that and taking the seed phrase and popping that into a safe and never touching it again. In theory, though, you can do this with the ledger offline too. So there are ways to make it even more secure. Just principally, like as we talk about those, though, those are your three options and those are the steps and the differences between them. If you're just going to leave your ledger plugged into your computer all the time, then you completely defeat the purpose of having a ledger. T. Malcolm says, at Son of a Tech, moving farm from my house to a buddy's industrial business for far cheaper electric rates, no rent to pay. Would you pick up Bitcoin ASICs or just more GPUs or both? That's really an interesting question because I've been debating that question for a long time too. And the thing is we still have more potential for Bitcoin hash rate to go up significantly because all the shipments that people have been waiting on in the supply chain are going up right now. So I think that from my perspective, I would lean more towards GPUs, but that's not financial advice. And I understand that really like your safest bet with the lowest returns would be Bitcoin. But as you saw today, like Bitcoin at 15 cents a kilowatt hour is no longer profitable, right? Bitcoin mining on an S19 Pro. And we also have new parts coming out from Bitcoin. We have more hash rate potentially on the network. It's kind of scary, right? Felix says, ask Son of a Tech, don't you feel panic sell and ETH2 delay are playing a big role on price? I think that Ethereum moving to proof of stake is playing the biggest role on price right now out of anything else. And it's kind of funny that if we really talk about the big massive dips, while obviously still influenced by the super cycle, but for the two past super cycles it's been Ethereum to blame at the end of the day, right? We had ICOs and airdrops and all these tokenized tokens or whatever on Ethereum, like spinning up new projects. That's what collapsed on the first super cycle. That was all surrounding Ethereum. All of this staking now and everything that is going on, and specifically Ethereum moving to staking, it is like, to an extent, these big dips are being at the very least exacerbated by Ethereum themselves, right? That's it. T. Malcolm says, ask Son of a Tech, thanks for the insight. Yes, sir. But yes, it's Ethereum moving proof of stake. And I disagree. I understand the sentiment for a lot of miners surrounding like, well, I'm kind of glad Ethereum's crashing, but so much is built onto Ethereum that you have much broader ramifications with the collapse of Ethereum, and we don't want Ethereum to collapse. It's 11 a.m. That's going to call it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I was happy to get a lot more Q&A in today. I am going to be starting up Q&As live on the Locals chat as well. So if you are interested in that, definitely head on over to Locals and get signed up. That's where the direct support and the most direct support can come from for me. I hope we can hit that 800 member goal. And I am, I'm getting a little tired of being on the internet, but it is what it is. It is how it functions. I'm going to try to make sure that I do my best to provide you guys with the most up-to-date information and my perspective at all given times, as transparent as possible. I want to give kudos to apparently BitBoy saying that proof of stake is a Ponzi at this point. So kudos over there to BitBoy for making that realization. And maybe I need to get back on his show and we can have a longer conversation about it, because now I am intrigued on his newfound perspective. So thanks everybody once again, and be sure to hit the likes, the comments, the subscribes, the super stickers at the lowest price possible to boost algorithms. Share out the clips that you find especially intriguing or helpful, and we all are gonna make it. It'll be okay. We're just going to have a rough time. Welcome to the digital dark age, the crypto winter, the end of traditional finance. I will see you next Tuesday.